some parts of the world are home to an unusually high number of centenarians, individuals who live past 100. These communities also often have a high quality of life. Enter the blue zone, a term coined by explorer, author, and longevity researcher Dane Boettner in 2004 as part of a study that examined longevity hotspots around the world. Amongst these pioneering blue zones were Okinawa, Japan, Sardinia, Italy, Loma Linda, California, Nicoya, Costa Rica, and Icaria, Greece. These regions share common lifestyle habits such as plant-based diets, frequent low-intensity physical activity, strong community ties, and a sense of purpose. Singapore was declared a Blue Zone 2.0 in August 2023. This was an accolade significant for reasons beyond the longevity marker that blue zones represent. Unlike first-generation blue zones like Okinawa, Singapore does not boast of a deep-rooted tradition of healthy living. Our pace of life is fast and often hectic, and not getting enough good quality sleep is something many in Singapore, as well as in this chamber, struggle with. Yet, Singapore bucks the trend, becoming a blue zone mainly because of stable governance, economic security, accessible healthcare, and effective public health measures. So in essence, being a blue zone was not something that came along organically for Singapore, but rather through careful orchestration via policy and programming. Indeed, we are living longer here in Singapore than many other parts of the world. Singaporeans have an average life expectancy of 84.3 years, with men having an average lifespan of 84 years, while women living to an average of 88 years. Now, does that mean then that all is well? Not quite. The health span of Singaporeans, that is, years lived in good health, is at 74.2 years. A significant 10-year gap between health span and lifespan exists. Now, what this means is that many Singaporeans spend the last decade of their lives in poor health, struggling with chronic illnesses, disabilities, or other age-related illnesses and issues. While Singapore has a life expectancy, health difficulties have a substantial impact on quality of life in our later years. How then can we address this? The answer does not lie in what we can do when we turn 60. We do need to go way upstream. Let us first examine the factors determining good health. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, factors affecting one's health are an individual's social and economic environment, the physical environment, and the characteristics and behaviors. It is not merely how good or advanced a population's healthcare system is that singularly determines the people's healthcare outcomes. In fact, social determinants of health play a much more significant role in aging well than the state of the healthcare system alone. Therefore, a comprehensive approach to aging well must consider various non-healthcare and non-medical components, such as social connections, physical activity, dietary habits, cognitive engagement, and employment. Social connections. Strong community ties significantly support aging well. Conversely, research suggests that social isolation contributes to cognitive decline and poor health outcomes. Physical activity. Encouraging daily movement, natural movement such as gardening or walking, rather than structured workouts, helps maintain long-term mobility and independence. Dietary habits. This is an obvious one, for we are what we eat. Consume in moderation, less salt, less sugar. We can almost see and hear HPB's various campaigns flashing before our eyes. Cognitive engagement, learning new skills, playing memory-enhancing games, engaging in purposeful activities reduce dementia risks. And from my own non-clinical experience, Senior members of my extended family who played mahjong remain lucid throughout the golden years. Employment. Continuing to work provides mental stimulation, encourages social interaction, adds to financial stability, facilitates a sense of validation, esteem, and actualization, all of which contribute to overall well-being. Our ambition for Singapore goes beyond what we had already achieved. In the words of our Health Minister, we are setting our sights to becoming a Blue Zone 3.0, moving beyond policy-driven longevity to embedding healthier habits into everyday living. By 2030, 1 in 4 Singaporeans will be 65 or older. As Singapore ages, it is essential to reframe the aging narrative. Negative descriptors that are often used today, like silver tsunami, has-beens, burden on society, should be immediately abandoned. And we must shift our perception of aging. No longer should aging be seen as a period of decline, but rather as a phase of life that represents opportunity, contribution, and vitality. By fostering a society that not only values longevity, but also the potential and contributory role that seniors can play, we can create an ecosystem where older adults are empowered to contribute and to thrive. In Queenstown, where I serve, nearly 3 in 10 residents are 60 and above. I have been concerned about various aspects about our seniors in the community: their physical and mental well-being, their retirement financial adequacy, social isolation, and the many associated downsides. As our population ages, we must rethink senior employment in our society. Should retirement mean stepping down aside completely, or can we reimagine a model where the experience and contributions continue to shape our community in a positive manner? How should we think about productivity, employment, and social participation in our senior years? For some insights, let us go back in time. For much of human history, retirement was not a formalized concept. People worked for as long as they were able to, and labor formed an integral part of an individual's identity. In 1889, Germany introduced the world's first pension system, giving Germans who were 70 years and older, especially those who could no longer work, financial security in their old age. Now the rest, from the late 19th century onward, was history. An official retirement policy is arguably one of the best policy implementations that bolsters well-being in one's senior years. Over time, however, attitudes towards retirement evolved. As people generally lived longer, there's a growing sense of inertia in extending our working years. Take France, for example. In 2023, France experienced widespread protests, raising the retirement age from 62 to 64. Some see the raising of retirement age as an obscene violation of their well-deserved rest after years of toil. The real question is, though, does employment in our senior years have to be cast purely as a binary, black or white construct? Either you work full-time or you do not work at all. At retirement age, which in Singapore's context will be 64 by 2026, many seniors that I meet are still physically active, cognitively sharp, and more than able to be involved in a productive activity one way or another. In fact, I jokingly tell many of my Queenstown residents, seniors, that I meet that I will have to check their IC to be sure that they're telling me their real age. Many of them look way younger than the actual NRIC age. To be sure, many seniors find purpose, mental stimulation, and social engagement in continued employment. Work is more than just an income source. It provides structure, a sense of purpose, and a continued role in society. Some seniors actively resist retirement because their professions define their identity. The challenge then is not merely extending work life, but rethinking its structure. How can employment be made more flexible, more meaningful, and adapted to the strengths of an aging workforce? Also, what is the reality in our employment market today? Do employers perceive the resumes of senior applicants they receive as prospective assets with decades of experience, or do they reflexively dismiss them on the assumption that senior workers would be a drag on efficiency and productivity? What changes can be implemented at the workplace to facilitate the reintegration of more seniors as part of our active workforce? Would employers be willing to consider process automation, artificial intelligence, redesigning full-time roles as microjobs as ways to not merely hire more seniors, but also to fulfill our manpower needs in a labor-tight market? Amongst senior workers, many are rightly concerned about the perception of age discrimination at the workplace, and many would also want to prioritize time for loved ones in their golden years. Concerns over physical and mental well-being also means many are hesitant to re-enter or stay on in the workforce in their senior years. Clearly, mindset shifts and tangible action on both the employer and employee ends of the spectrum are needed. If we are serious about our Blue Zone 3.0 ambition, then surely we must lead the charge in reframing and retirement and senior employment, amongst other issues. After all, to discriminate based on age is merely the act of discriminating against our very selves, the future versions of ourselves. So, sir, Singapore's journey to becoming a Blue Zone is unlike any others. As we strive towards being a Blue Zone 3.0, our goal is not just to live longer, but to live well. And to get there, we will be sailing through uncharted waters where no one before us has gone. Our true measure of success lies not just in productivity, but in the collective well-being of every passenger on board this ship. Now, beyond the various measures like the Match MediSave scheme, the enhanced home caregiving grants, and broadening of HDB's East program under this budget, there is scope for us to do more, to move the needle on senior employment. After all, if there's any vessel that we can navigate all on board to the promised land of wholesome, empowered longevity, I have every confidence that that vessel's name must be Singapore.